Hello everyone, it's my pleasure to be part of the ECOWAS Youth Summit. Unfortunately, I'm not there in person. We're supposed to have done this last year, but as you know, always logistics one way or the other. But I'm glad the organizers still went on and are still doing this. Thank you so much for bringing youth together, for bringing all of us together to have this discussion. The theme for this year is the challenges of insecurity in the 21st century Nigeria and the effect on education. As it is right now, education has really been affected by insecurity in Nigeria. There have been a lot of kidnappings, right? For 2014, you remember the kidnapping of the Chibok girls from their school, where 276 Chibok girls were taken away from their school. And over the years, there have been a lot of kidnaps and all of that. Education is a leveler. Education is what it is that reduces the disadvantage that a lot of people are born into. Education is the easiest way to break the shackles of poverty. Unfortunately, in Nigeria today, access to good quality education is dependent on the economic status of one's family. If you're rich, if you're a family that is rich, they're able to afford good quality education. They send you to private, expensive schools, and you get the best of education, and most likely also, you're also protected. But when you're poor, you do not have access to that. You have public education that are not that good, and of course, again, that are affected most by the insecurity. What do we do? There is no nation that can grow without education. It's as simple as that. If we want a nation, the human capital development, it's key if you want a nation where things do thrive. And so it's important for a nation at any time to focus on education. Unfortunately, in our country, we haven't focused on that. And we've had the insecurity, especially those who do not want people to be educated. The literal meaning of Boko Haram is that Western education is forbidden. And right now, the terrorists seem to be winning the war against education. And so they're keeping people down and are not allowing people to get that education. So what are the effects of insecurity? The first one we have is poor quality of education. Remember what I said earlier on, that unfortunately in Nigeria, access to good quality education is dependent on the economic status of one's family. With the state of insecurity, we're having more and more reduction in the quality of education that is available in Nigeria. A lot of teachers are unable to stay in certain places. They're afraid for themselves. They're afraid for their lives. There have been a lot of destruction of infrastructure. And so a lot of schools do not even have access to what normally they would have before. And what we've had is an increase in the reduction in the quality of the education that a lot of people have had the opportunity to have access to. One key thing that the insecurity has done to the educational sector is that it has forced families to now think about the lives of their children or their children getting education. Imagine what it is where you have to sit down and make a choice between keeping your child alive or allowing your child to get education. That is such a serious... no parent should be put in that position. But right now, there are a lot of parents, that's the position they have been forced to adopt, to say, okay, we'd rather not send our children to school. We'd rather keep them at home so that they'll be safe, so that they'll be alive. Because by sending them to school, you're putting them in harm's way. You're endangering them. It's like sending them to battlefield. And with that, what that will happen at the end of the day is that the nation will have more children who are out of school. We're already seeing that right now. We have less human capacity development. We'll be able to have less development as a nation, because without properly educated citizens, there is no way that a nation can thrive. So these are some of the things, these are some of the effects that we've had. And the insecurity has destroyed, I mentioned a bit of that earlier on, has destroyed the infrastructure in our country. So the educational infrastructure are also not left out. Schools are bombed. When you bomb a school, you have to rebuild it again. And then sometimes it's not rebuilt. Like the Chibok school that was where there was abduction in 2014. Up to today, it has not been rebuilt. And so that is more effect on the people. The access that we have to be able to have education, good quality education, is further reduced. And then some don't never get. You are spending more money as a nation. We are spending the money that we do not have to ensure that the place that had already been built before, that are being built right now, that have been destroyed. And that is so much on its own, so much problem. We have also the issue of brain drain. A lot of people are leaving the country. Even before we talk about those leaving the country, there are so many people who are living where they are. So they're leaving the places they are. For example, those who are in the villages, I used to teach in the villages before, they're leaving the villages, they're moving to other places. Those who are in certain cities or certain towns or certain areas, they're living there, moving to other places. So for those areas also, there are brain drains. And the same also goes on to the issue when you look at the national level. A lot of people are leaving Nigeria. A lot of lecturers are leaving. A lot of teachers are leaving. And it's affecting all throughout. When we're talking about this effect on education, it's not just the effect at the primary and secondary school level, but it's also at the university level, the tertiary institutions. They are all being affected. And so you find this happening more and more and more. And then we have that discouragement. Of course, a lot of people do not feel safe in school, and so they are staying more and more and more away from schools. A lot of people do not feel encouraged to go to school. And so this has led to a situation whereby the terrorists, you know, they are winning, and they seem to have that upper hand. We must find a level where, as citizens, as a nation, as a government, we are coming together and saying no to all of this. We are coming together and ensuring what are the things that we are going to do to ensure that we get our nation back, to ensure that the terrorists are not the ones in control of certain places in our country, and that citizens are able to have access to those to the good quality education that is needed. Let's look at some of the sort of like the timelines that we've had in terms of education, in terms of insecurity. Just a few to say the things that have happened, the insecurities, rough timeline of insecurity, starting with April 14, 2014, 276 Chibok girls were taken away from their school. We have 57 escaped immediately, and there were 219 of them in captivity for over 2 years. And it was in May 2016 that the first girl, Amina Ali in Keki, was found of the Chibok girls. Today we have about 100 that are still in captivity. It's been 8 years, and their parents are still yearning. These are children of the poor, and mostly in Nigeria, we tend to neglect the poor. Where one is poor, one is seen as nameless, faceless, and voiceless, and nothing is really done about their plight. We also come to December 11, 2020. 344 male students were abducted from their hostels in Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, Katsina State. December 20, 2020, 80 pupils of the Islamia School, Mahuta, Kaduna State, were also abducted. Let's not also forget the abduction that happened, in which Leah Sharibu was also taken, the Dapchi girls abduction that happened around 2019. We have February 17, 2021. There was another 27 students were abducted from GSS College, Kagara, Niger State. February 26, 2021, 279 girls of Government Secondary School, Jengebe, were abducted. March 11, 2021, 39 students of Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, Kaduna, were taken away. March 20, 2021, 23 students of Greenfield University. April 24, 2021, 3 more students were kidnapped from the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, in Benue State. So you see all of this kidnapping, and I tell you, this is just a very short short overview. There are so many other. If we literally have to talk about the kidnappings from around 2008 up to date, we'll take hours just reading those out. But if we look at all of these things, do we just sit back and say, okay, let's give up and not do anything? No. As citizens and as a nation, we have to do better for our youth. We need to have an enabling environment where our youth will be able to thrive anywhere in the world, just like every other youth anywhere in the world. And it's very important for us to continue to work towards having that nation that all of us will have. So we'll look at what are the things that we can do. There is a need for a political will from our government. Our government needs to know that the lives of citizens are very important. And the biggest assets that this nation has is not in its oil, but it's in its human capacity. And we've been blessed with amazing population. But if you have a population that is not educated, then it becomes a burden rather than a blessing. And so there's a need to harness that and ensure that education is secured. Right now, our education is in danger, and so everything has to be put on board to ensure that there is that security of lives and properties. Remember that the primary responsibility of any government is the protection of lives and properties of its citizens, and so that is something that has to be paramount. We look at the Constitution, Section 18. Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution states that government shall direct its policy towards ensuring that there are equal and adequate educational opportunities at all levels. Right now, we do not have equal and adequate opportunities to education at all levels because there are certain areas that have been affected by the insecurity, and these areas, they are disadvantaged. And so you find out that all of this disadvantage will keep going on for generations. And if that's how you keep getting generational poverty, generational lack of development, you know, people are kept down because the person who is affected by education, insecurity in education today, haven't been to school, most likely is going to give birth to a child that might not go to school, and then you find out that all of these keep going. Remember what we said earlier, that education is the easiest way to break the shackles of poverty, and unfortunately a lot of people are being denied the access to that education. We also look at Section 18, subsection 3, which states that government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end, government shall, as and when practicable. Yes, this say practicable, and these are some of the things that are not justiciable, and so you can't sue the government over them. But these are things that any government in power should make it a priority to ensure that these things are provided. So it says A, free, compulsory, and universal primary education. B, free secondary education, and C, free university education. And then we have, so of course, that is it. So we need to have government being more focused in ensuring that they actually perform their constitutionally mandated duties. This would really help a lot. So there is a need for also for security of state. Can we have like a department of school security? And so whether it's part of the police force or another security sort of apparatus that is set up to ensure that schools are safeguarded. We had the issue of the Safe School Initiative, but it hasn't been as effective as it should be. What are the things that need to be put in place to ensure that every student that goes to school is protected? Every student that is in school, they are sure they can have a thriving environment where they are not focused and worried about their lives, but they are more focused and worried about what the kind of education that they're giving, most especially good quality education. There is something that we all have to understand in this country, that government cannot do everything alone, and government themselves to also have to understand this and work with the people. When the people say to government there are certain things that are wrong, that are not being done, it shouldn't be taken with anger or antagonism. It should be seen as It's an opportunity for us all to come together and work together and ensure that we're building that nation that works for all of us. So there should be stakeholders engagement. Government should be engaging with citizens, listening to citizens' advices, listening to the solutions and suggestions that citizens are giving, so that at the end of the day, we would be able to find solutions to these problems that plague all of us. And so that is very important. I know I have about 20 minutes for this, and I really would have loved to be part of this, physically be part of this program and meet young people. But I think at this moment, there's a whole lot of technicality. Let me remove my glasses and say there's a whole lot of technicalities in terms of the education, in terms of what the insecurity have caused. But I want to use this, my last minutes, to be able to speak directly to the youth out here. You are amazing. You're fantastic. You have everything going for you. There's social media, there's technology. You have a whole community that you can be part of. I am not physically there, but at least I'm still part of this whole program. That is the whole new world that is out there. Keep growing, keep thriving, keep standing. Know that you're not limited. Don't limit yourself with anything. You're not limited. Keep striving for the best. And at the end of the day, if you put your all in and do what you're supposed to do diligently, you'll get the results that you're supposed to get. Do what you have to do today so that you can do what you want to do tomorrow. Because if you do not do what you have to do today, you will not be able to do what you want to do tomorrow. And look at this program. This program was supposed to be done last year. And then certain things came up. They couldn't do it last year. But guess what? They didn't give up. They looked at the issue and they continued. That's what life is all about. They said there are bad weather, right? But they said no, they said there are no bad weather, only bad clothing. Yes, the weather might be bad, but if you're able to adequately prepare for it in terms of your clothing and everything, you will surmount. And that's what they've done with this program. So as you go on, know that life is not a pizza man. It doesn't do delivery. You're not going to sit somewhere and then all of a sudden everything that you need will be brought to you. You are the one that have to go out there and look for life. You are the one that have to go out there and try. We'll do our best to continue to ensure that you have an enabling environment, enabling country, enabling continent, that you will thrive in and you will get the best that you're supposed to get. But you, on the other hand, there are certain things that you have to do. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can dream for you. Nobody can own your narrative. Nobody can own your story. Nobody can own your continent. Nobody can own the space that you occupy. Make sure that at every moment that you're making a difference, at every moment you're putting something in so that you will become someone worth becoming. Jim Rohn has something. He says whenever you want to set a goal, set a big enough goal, so that in the process of achieving that goal, you become somebody worth becoming. You have opportunity to become somebody worth becoming. Go for it. Do not hold yourself back. Do not allow the naysayers, those who have said to you a lot of times that you cannot succeed in certain things, do not allow them thrive in your head. Do not allow them be the voice that you listen to. Be the voice. Every day be ready to learn. Every day be ready to be open to opportunities. Every day sit down and say to yourself, what more can I learn? What more can I share with someone? What knowledge can I pass on? Because at the end of the day, we'll get the knowledge, we'll empower ourselves, but we'll go on to empower other people. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for the organizers. It's been tough doing all of this, but at the end of the day, it's been pulled off. And I want to say to every one of you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me to this program. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there in person, but here, I hope you've seen my video and I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you so much and bye-bye.